I stood frozen as a complete stranger threw her arms around my neck, sobbing hysterically into my shoulder while pleading for me to pretend to be her fiancé so the terrifying man tailing her through the lobby wouldn't drag her away. Before I could even process the weight of her trembling body against mine, the hotel front desk manager delivered a second crushing blow, announcing that due to a system crash, her reservation was completely lost and every hotel within 50 miles was fully booked for the annual summit. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, joining our growing family as we share stories that remind us of the beauty in human connection. My name is Julian Vance, a quiet software designer who had traveled to the coastal city of Bellevue for what was supposed to be a routine business conference. The morning sun was pouring through the grand glass ceiling of the hotel atrium, casting bright, warm light across the marble floors, but the atmosphere around us felt charged with intense desperation. The woman clinging to me was named Clara Sterling, a brilliant but exhausted freelance journalist who had spent the last 3 months uncovering financial fraud within a powerful local corporation. Her eyes were wide with genuine terror, framed by dark circles that spoke of sleepless nights and relentless stress. When the suspicious man in the dark suit finally realized he was being watched by hotel security and slunk out into the bright afternoon sunlight, Clara collapsed onto a leather sofa in the lobby, burying her face in her hands. She had no place to stay, no safe refuge, and a ruined reservation that left her completely exposed in an unfamiliar city. Looking at her fragile state, I couldn't simply walk away and leave her to face the day alone. I offered to let her use my suite to rest and recharge while we figured out a safer plan for her situation. My room was bathed in golden afternoon light, featuring a large balcony overlooking the ocean, but as the front desk clerk had warned, it was a standard luxury room equipped with only one king-sized bed. Clara hesitated at the doorway, her pride visibly fighting against her sheer physical exhaustion. I quickly reassured her that I would take the plush sofa near the window and that she could have the bed to sleep off the unbearable fatigue that hung over her shoulders like a heavy cloak. Touched by the simple act of unselfish hospitality, she gave a soft, tearful smile and accepted, stepping inside and finally letting her guard down for the first time in weeks. As the daylight reached its peak, casting long, soft shadows across the room, Clara sat on the edge of the bed and began to open up about her life. She spoke of the overwhelming burden of trying to do the right thing in a world that often rewarded corruption, describing how her pursuit of the truth had cost her her savings, her peace of mind, and her trust in people. Listening to her voice tremble as she recounted her struggles stirred something deep within me, reminding me of my own past battles with isolation and the fear of letting anyone get too close. We talked for hours under the bright canopy of the afternoon sky, bridging the gap between two strangers who had both been bruised by the world in vastly different ways. For the first time in years, I felt a genuine connection forming, rooted not in pretense, but in shared vulnerability and mutual respect. By late afternoon, the emotional toll of the day finally caught up with Clara, and her eyelids began to flutter shut mid-sentence. I gently encouraged her to lie down and get some proper rest, wrapping a soft throw blanket over her shoulders before walking over to the desk near the balcony to catch up on my work. The room was silent except for the rhythmic sound of the distant ocean waves and her slow, steady breathing. Hours passed quietly under the gentle afternoon sun as I worked, glancing over occasionally to ensure she was safe and comfortable. It was a simple, profound scene of quiet companionship that neither of us had anticipated when the chaotic day had begun. Around 3 in the afternoon, a sudden, loud bang from the hallway, caused by a housekeeper accidentally dropping a heavy luggage cart, echoed through the door. Clara jolted awake in a panic, her eyes filled with immediate fright as the trauma of being hunted seized her mind once again. Before her eyes could even focus on the bright room, she scrambled backward across the mattress in pure instinct, trying to put distance between herself and perceived danger. I immediately stood up and stepped toward the bed to reassure her, reaching out a hand to show her she was safe. In her disoriented state, she turned away from the door and backed directly into my chest, her hands reaching behind her to clutch at my shirt as her whole body shivered with panic. I froze, keeping my hands raised gently so as not to startle her further, feeling the rapid, chaotic beat of her heart through her clothes. I softly whispered her name, telling her she was safe, that we were still in the brightly lit room, and that no one was going to hurt her. Instead of pulling away as her breathing slowly began to ground itself, Clara leaned deeper into my support, her back resting firmly against me as if I were the only anchor keeping her afloat in a storm. She squeezed my arms gently and whispered, "Stay like this, just for a moment, please." We stood there in the center of the warm, sunlit room, wrapped in a moment of absolute trust, allowing the quiet strength of human presence to wash away the lingering ghosts of her fear. In that quiet embrace, something shifted permanently between us, transforming a chance encounter into a profound turning point for both our lives. Clara realized that she didn't have to carry the weight of the world entirely on her own shoulders, and I realized that my quiet, guarded life was finally ready to open up to love and real purpose. When she finally stepped back, her face was clear, her eyes were bright with renewed courage, and the heavy shadow of fear that had followed her all morning had completely vanished. We spent the rest of the afternoon sitting side by side on the balcony, watching the sun begin its slow descent over the shimmering water, making plans not just for how she would safely publish her story, but for how we would navigate the future together. Life often brings us to unexpected crossroads where a single moment of compassion can rewrite the course of two lives forever. If you were in Julian's shoes, would you have opened your door to a complete stranger in need, and what do you think is the most important lesson about trust in today's world? Please leave your thoughts in a meaningful comment below, as we love reading your insights and reflections. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey.